Hello again, everyone, once again. And yeah, I'm wearing the same shirt because I'm recording several of these videos in the same night because of, future preparedness. Anyway, this is Shigete of Vlogs by Shigete Vlogs, whichever you want to say. Again, it's right above me here. And this is Post Every Night in September, video number 4, for Sunday, September 4th, 2016. And today's topic is going to close out, at least for now. Maybe if I run out of ideas, I'll talk about this, overall topic again. It's going to close out my convention, my anime convention series. And tonight's installment, is going to discuss and briefly mention and maybe review maybe review the anime conventions I went to as a whole this year in order, and I'll tell you the pros and cons of each. So if you want to go to these conventions in the future, you can. If you don't have to. So to start off the year, first of all, to start off 2016, I wanted to, but I couldn't. I couldn't afford it, and it was too short notice with getting time off from work and whatever. I wanted to go to Music and Gaming Festival, also known as MAG, M-A-G, MAG Fest, which takes place at the same venue that KatsuCon takes place at, which I mentioned in the previous video when talking about Otakon leaving Baltimore. MagFest takes place in National Harbor, Maryland, at the same venue that KatsuCon takes place at. I briefly touched upon that during my previous PENiS installment. That sounds so wrong. Anyway, my previous Posting Every Night September video, where I was mentioning that Otakon was leaving Baltimore for DC, and that ground transport is 10 hours, etc., etc. Watch that video and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And MagFest actually takes place at the same venue as KatsuCon, and I wanted to go down there and just hotel room with some people and check out a non-anime convention, which I generally go to every year. But possibly next year I'll do it, because it's like is it the week before my birthday? Yeah, it's the week before my birthday, or 2 weeks before my birthday, but I'll consider it a birthday trip. And it still has some vacation pay I can use for that. So, there's that. But the conventions that I did end up attending, that I had planned on attending, were actually a lot of fun. I did 4 of them, and the first one was Anime Boston, my very own Anime Boston here in Boston area. It was the cheapest of all my conventions because I didn't have to do a hotel. I technically could have. I could have gone into a little bit of debt on a credit card or 3, but I decided not to, because I live within 20 minutes of downtown Boston, where Anime Boston takes place, at the Heinz Convention Center in the Back Bay region of Boston. And it was fun. It was my first time debuting a cosplay of what you see behind me on the wall. It is Senbon Zakura Miku, but gender bent, from Vocaloid. If you don't know what Vocaloid is, I might do a video on Vocaloid, as I've been planning to. And but you can also look it up. Go to Wikipedia and pop in Vocaloid. Vocal, like vocal, talking, and oid, like OID. And there's a whole write-up on it. It's a whole technology that's been developing since 2006 or something, 2005, and it's pretty phenomenal. I like it a lot. And they took that concept and made a mascot for it, and that cosplay that you see hanging right there is one of the characters versions. Hard to explain. But like I said, check it out on Wikipedia and on Google and otherwise if you don't know what the heck it is. Anyway, that was my first cosplay, a gender-bent Senbon Sakura Miku, or the character Hatsune Miku in that outfit, and it was a big hit. I was walking around the Heinz Convention Center, and a lot of people knew who I was. A lot of people didn't know, so I mentioned it, and they're like, oh yeah, I know who that character is. I know who you are now, etc. And that was fun. There's very few things I can say bad about Anime Boston this year, except due to the current events and current targeting of things in Boston area, the security has been heightening every year. From 2013 and on, or was it 2014 now? Within the last 4 years since, hold on, when was the Boston Marathon bombing? The Boston Marathon bombing was in 2013, right? Yeah. From 2014 on, for Anime Boston, they added a bag check, where as you walk into the convention center, they check your bag like they would at an airport. Okay, cool. You go in, they mess around with a stick and stuff in your bag. They find, I don't know, a laptop if you have with you and a tablet. Okay, you're good. Go on in. Okay, that's fine. But as of last year, after the jerks, I'll say, from Iowa tried to bring guns from Iowa and shoot up the Pokemon World Championship at that same convention center, they implemented a metal detector as well as bag check, which I think is not necessary. They caught the people that were tried to shoot up or were intending to shoot up, even if they pled innocent when it was proven they were guilty, or however the law goes with that. And it was ridiculous. So that was the only thing that was annoying. That every time you left the convention center, you had to... Every time you leave and come back into the convention, for example, let me actually give you a bit more of a background of how Anime Boston is laid out. Anime Boston takes place, like I said earlier, in the Heinz Convention Center. But the Heinz Convention Center is also connected on the inner entrances to what's called the Prudential Center, which is a mall, a shopping mall. A pretty nice mall. Expensive, as most malls in bigger cities are these days. And once you go out into the mall to get food or something, to avoid the high prices in the convention center itself for food, tasty food, but it's $9-10 for a really meager portion. Really, really meager. You go out to lunch and you come back, you have to get into that same line, and even if you were checked before, there's so many thousands of us otaku and fans of whatever series going through that there's no way they can remember who you are, even if your outfit is so unique. For example, if you're cosplaying, like I was. So yeah, that happened every time you go in and out, and I almost missed a photo shoot because I went out to get food to, I think it was Bull Loco, which is Boston Local Company, which is a burrito place like Chipotle or Qdoba, but more low scale and low profile or whatever. It's not too popular. It's only in Boston. It's not nationwide like Qdoba and Chipotle. And I came back with a burrito, and the photo I was like, oh, okay, I can grab this burrito and run back to the convention center. Well, not run, because I was wearing the character boots, which are platform boots, and you can wipe out like that, or forwards like that. You can break an ankle so easily. They're heels, is what they are. And being that I'm not a female, I don't wear heels very often, and it took me a while to learn how to walk in them, how to shift my weight, because I weigh 185 and 190 pounds. And yeah, I couldn't go back quickly. So I got back as fast as I could with my food, and I almost missed a photo shoot. So that was all to blame on the overly secure security. I have nothing wrong with security, but the metal detectors, totally unnecessary. And back the line up up the street if you were unlucky enough, and it's the only anime convention in the U.S. or even in the world that has airport grade security when you try to enter the event. Not acceptable, because it's overkill. And I know I'm focusing a bit too much on that for this segment, for this convention, but for this convention segment of this segment. But that really annoyed me. Once you were inside the convention center, though, there's a lot of cool stuff to do. I believe I went to, I don't even remember what panels I went to at this point. I'll have to look at the guidebook schedule or paper schedule I might still have. I think I went to my normal Sailor Moon panel that I do every year. I think I went to a Vocaloid panel. I think I went to, I didn't go to the Masquerade. Excuse me. I think I didn't go to the Masquerade. I wanted to, but I didn't get a chance to. I went to the AMV contest, I believe. That was fun. And, yeah, that con is fun. That was my 8th year going. Like, this year is also my 8th year going to Otakon. More on that in a little bit. And, because that's my last con, the one I just did, the one I talked about, the last video and the video before. But yeah, Anime Boston was fun. You know, I had some friends up from Connecticut, a middle school, a former middle school classmate, and a friend of his that he met on the Anime Boston forums, I believe. His name is James. James and Mark came up from Connecticut, and they came here, and we hung out for a bit. No, they spent the night here on Wednesday or something, and then on Thursday we went into town and got things going. Even though I didn't have to check into a hotel because I just commute from home, I just went in with them. We had something to eat. We hung out. I almost forgot. We picked up our badges, our membership badges for the event, and then we had dinner. I think we went to Wagamama, which is a Japanese fast food chain place. We ate there, and then they went to their hotel for the night, and I jumped on public transit and came back here to home. But yeah, enough on Anime Boston. Anime Boston was fun. I plan to go again in March of this coming year, and it's going to be on April Fool's weekend. That's so weird. But moving on now, the next event I went to, the next convention event, or next anime convention I attended this year, was Anime Central out in Chicago. I like Chicago. It's a cool place to be in. The city's architecture is interesting. I haven't seen every corner of that city yet, but maybe this coming year when I go, 2017 for its 20th anniversary, already, right? I'll actually see more of the city. I've seen Millennium Park and the Bean, that huge metal reflective ball thing. I think I took some pictures of it back in 2014 or something, but I never posted them. Maybe I will. Maybe it's my Throwback Thursday. On one of the Thursdays I'll do that. I don't know. But yeah, Anime Central is fun. I had a whole group of people I didn't know, but we got along so well. They loved my dumb jokes, so I'd be cracking. And I had, without mentioning her name, and if you see this, no, I'm not angry, I'm just talking about it. And I was very concerned for you. One of my roommates drank as much alcohol as a typical, drinker would at a convention in one night, instead of spanning it across 3 or 4 nights. I mean, she has an alcohol, intolerance. Like, some people have lactose intolerance, and you can get in big trouble if you're not careful with that, because alcohol has acids and other things in it. If done, certain alcohols like vodkas and whiskeys and whatever, they're all fermented in some cases. And she was horribly sick. I was worried for her, and that didn't ruin my weekend or anything, but that ruined her weekend, I'm sure. And that wasn't fun. But I was able to see two of my friends that used to live in Midwest. One of them actually lives in Baltimore, where the friends I'm gonna mention that that I might go to MagFest with. And I got to see one of them and someone else that used to live in the Midwest who actually lives in San Francisco now, but he came out. This was his first year actually flying out to Anime Central instead of just driving 2 hours from Milwaukee. That was must have been pretty surreal for him, because he got me interested in Anime Central, and we had a good time. And one funny thing, and a little bit embarrassing too, that happened during Anime Central. Well, first of all, I went to some interesting panels. I went to I can't even remember right now what panels I went to. Actually, there were some good ones. And if anyone ever watches this, if you want to know what panels I went to at Anime Central, I can look it up. I can just skim through the schedule on the guidebook application on my phone, and I'll remember by looking at it. But yeah, Anime Central was fun, and I got to hang out with my friends I don't see very often. This year we didn't have a utilizable car to go to what's called the Stratfield Mall or whatever, where they have a Round 1 arcade, and I couldn't play my favorite Hatsune Miku Project Diva Future Tone, which the year prior I did. Last year I did, and it was epic. It blew my mind. But now that I have it on PlayStation 4 here, I can play, and there's an arcade controller coming out for it, so you don't have to always depend on the buttons on the arcade controller. Anyway, Anime Central is fun. A few minor setbacks with the girl in my hotel group that went way over her limit with alcohol. But she regrets it. She knows what her limits are now, I would hope. And it was a fun time. Anyway, the embarrassing moment. When I was leaving with aforementioned lady friends from the hotel room, I decided to be stupid in my cosplay and kick open with my foot one of those push button doors on the hotel that we stayed at, the Aloft Chicago O'Hare. Very nice hotel. Very inexpensive too, partially because it was convention discounted rate. But anyhow, even then, probably it's not too bad. Anyway, I did that, and my pants literally ripped like that, and I had to waddle like that, as if I had soiled myself or something. That's gross. I'm sorry. And then I went back to my hotel room, or maybe I used my phone to post on Facebook asking if anyone had a cosplay repair kit or a sewing machine. Somebody did. He fixed it for me, and my momentarily ruined convention was fixed. That was cool. So thanks very much. I forget what your name is now, and I would like to shout you out, but I forget what your name is. Thanks very much. And I would like to pay you back somehow, sometime. But yeah, Anime Central is great. Directly after Anime Central, my friend from Milwaukee was staying with his parents, and I stayed with him and his family for one night before jumping on a plane later that evening down to Asheville, North Carolina, where I stayed with a very dear friend of mine who moved there from Westchester County, New York, which is actually not far, near New York City, which is 4 hours south of me right now. And we hung out for 4 days, and then we took a 4-hour road trip east. I hate this mirror image thing on the camera. To Raleigh, North Carolina for anime convention Animazement. Now, Animazement was pretty interesting to me because it's the smallest convention in terms of population of attendees that I've ever been to. Typically, the ones I go to, like Anime Boston, Anime Central, Otakon, which I'll talk about in a moment, have at least 25,000 people a weekend, a year. This one had barely 15,000. So it was interesting to see a developing convention instead, I mean, not developing, because it's going to be on its 20th year, but it's a small to medium-sized convention that's not growing as rapidly as some of the others. Definitely not as rapidly as Anime Expo out in Los Angeles, which is amazingly epic. I would love to go to that one year. But with my current income and everything, I would have to drop all my other events just to go to the big one in LA, which maybe I'll do one year if for whatever reason all the ones I go to aren't interesting to me and I just want to try AX or Anime Expo in LA and in Los Angeles. But anyhow, Animation was cool. It was small. The only thing that sucked was my friend couldn't get off of work. He works from home, but he couldn't leave work soon enough. And we only left like at noon or 1 o'clock on Friday. And it took us 4-ish hours to get out there because he had a meeting before we left, which I wasn't too happy about. I wanted to leave on Thursday. And we had an Airbnb, and I was willing to give $100 extra for the additional day at the Airbnb, the Airbnb house that we rented. But we got there at we got to the convention center at around 6:37 in the evening. We scoped it out, but then we had a full day on Saturday and as full of a day as you can on Sunday, and then they took me to the airport. And I flew home. And that was fun. Animation was fun. I walked around in my cosplay, and of course people recognized me because it's still a part of the same culture, even if it's a different convention. The dealer's hall was relatively small compared to what I'm used to. I mean, I'm not comparing for the sake of comparison, but if you've ever been to Anime Boston or Anime Central, etc., their dealers' rooms are decently large, but the one at Animation at the Raleigh Convention Center, at least the exhibit hall or halls that they were using, was pretty small, if you ask me. It was great, but it was kind of small. The variety wasn't as good. Again, not directly comparing or contrasting, I'm just describing. But it was still fun. I didn't really go to shop. If I wanted to really get anime memorabilia, I would have gone on to, I don't know, Ami or Right Stuff or Good Smile Company directly. So it wasn't really my main goal. I did get a couple things there, like some stickers and other stuff. But yeah, Animation was fun. And then after Animation, I came home. I had to go back to work, of course, and catch up on bills and whatever, which I'm still doing, but that's a different story that I prefer not to do in a vlog. Yeah, then came Otakon. Otakon is the one that just happened about 2.5 weeks ago as of me recording this video. It was from the 11th to 13th of August 2016. I arrived on the 10th. Wait, when was it? Yeah, I arrived on the 10th that Wednesday. Or was it the 11th? I arrived the Wednesday of that week to see my friends near Baltimore. They couldn't attend this year. Like I said, the same friends I might attend MagFest with in January 2017. And I stayed with them for all of Wednesday. On Thursday, my friend took me to the local the public transit, the light rail train system to go into Baltimore. I met up with my roommates, and without emphasizing this too much, I was not too happy to learn that 2 people that had expressed interest in staying with me again this year, like they did last year, basically stiffed me and never showed up. So my roommates and I, mostly they're my roommates, and I'm going to be working out with them how everyone's going to be paid back, had to cover for their absence and their slots for payment to make it easier, because that was the whole point. We wanted to have enough people to make this hotel I chose, the Marriott Residence Inn, which is like 5 minutes walk from the Baltimore Convention Center. affordable. And they didn't show up. And very briefly, the story was one of the two was actually out of the country, and he told his friend to tell me they can't show up. But the friend who was told to tell me that they can't show up never told me until I texted him on the day of check-in. And I was, I'm not going to lie, pretty furious. Because why do that? If it's something so important, get in contact with me on Facebook with my phone number. Ask someone for my phone number or something, or in a group, like if highlight me in a Facebook group that you know we have in common, that you know we're both in. And he didn't. And his friend I was supposed to tell him to tell me wasn't very happy, and he felt bad that we had to give in all pitch in money, which luckily my roommates had to help, and I'm eternally grateful to you guys if you ever watch this. I'm not going to mention any of your names, but I'm eternally grateful. It was so great that you did that, and I owe you one if we room again in the future. I really do. But that was one little caveat. Another thing was, it's actually kind of funny in retrospect, but it still sucks and it's a little bit scary. One of my roommates actually showed up and contributed and did what he was supposed to do. Brought some frozen meat, like steaks and burgers and bacon and stuff like that, and he wanted to make like a, in my opinion, pretty disgusting, like steak wrapped in bacon munch thing. I don't know, and he wanted to cook it. Okay, the Residence Inn has a kitchenette, and oh right, before I forget this part, I went to check in, and they only had a 1-bedroom, and they realized that we have too many people for a 1-bedroom, and then they're like, oh, there's a 2-bedroom open. You want to take it for the same price as what you booked the 1-bedroom for? I'm like, sure. So that fixed the problem of possible fire code violation or whatever, and we had a 2-bedroom, and they allowed 2 additional people in there. Maybe they charged me for the additional occupancy, which is fine. I don't care. And that part was fine. But then my roommate, I almost said his name. I'd rather keep everyone anonymous here, so if anyone knows them, they can't go harass them and everything. We'll call him, I don't know, J. That's just the first initial of his first name. There's just so many J names, it's going to be difficult to pinpoint his name, even if you know who he is. Anyway, Jay went to warm his food. He put it into a pan they had onto the stove, which is an electric stove of which he's not accustomed to. He left it there with a pan, with a pot cover or whatever, on top of it, and he went to the bedroom of the 2-bedroom suite that we were sharing, and it starts to smoke. And when smoke happens, smoke detectors also complain, and that alerted the hotel staff, that alerted the Baltimore Fire Department, and it was a whole mess. And he was ashamed by it. I was not too happy with him for the rest of the day, but that didn't ruin our weekend. He's not a bad guy, just he underestimated the electric stove, and maybe he's right when he said that burner, that coiled burner he was using, I think it doesn't matter really, but the front right one was defective or something. I doubt that, because when you're cooking something, and he says, I cook all the time, that you should know that you don't just put it on any kind of heat and then walk away. I've learned this the hard way. I've burned many a dish, and it's not fun when it's burnt. You waste food, you can't eat it, you're hungry, and you gotta do it again if you and you waste. Yeah, it's no. Anyway, so that happened. Other minor little things between people in the room that's not worth mentioning, because it's pretty private. Even though I was somewhat involved because I was trying to keep the peace and whatever. Okay, that was fine. Anyway, besides all that, a friend of mine from last year who actually made Otakon staff, also of whose name I won't mention, he came over to visit, and we hung out for a bit, and he came over to visit after his staff shifts at the con. Like he has to earn his hotel reimbursements back and whatever. He would have stayed with me, but he didn't. But he didn't realize we were getting a 2-bedroom suite, and I didn't know until last minute when they offered it or when it somehow opened. Because when I booked, 2-bedroom suites were like blocked off until January, which wouldn't have helped us because Olicon is not in January, you know. And he came over. We played some Project Diva because I had my PlayStation 4 with me, and that was fun. And this year at Olicon, like I mentioned in the very first video of the series, in PENiS number 1, I really didn't do much this year. I didn't go to my normal gatherings of dance group Dansu Topansu. I saw the tweets and everything on my phone about it happening, and I was lying on the bed there, and I think playing Project Diva or just relaxing. And I was thinking of going, but I was way too tired at that point. It was such a hot August in Baltimore. It was only like 85 to 95 degrees or something, but with the heat index and humidity, that's what the heat index is, I think, it felt like 110 or 112 degrees. No, I'm sorry, that doesn't fly with me. And yeah, it was a chill weekend. It was bittersweet. Walking to the convention center on that Sunday morning after checking out, that was pretty bittersweet, because I won't be coming back there next year, necessarily, and it's pretty sad. Like I said in my 2 videos, was it 2 videos ago? No, last video. I'm sorry, last week. Yesterday's video, about Olicon moving to DC. That I would have no real reason to go to Baltimore anymore now, besides seeing my friends. If we go into the city to eat or something, if there's nothing to eat in their town. But anyhow, yeah, Olicon went well, besides those small things that we worked through. And those are all the conventions I went to this year. It was a fun time, and next year it's going to start all over again, and it's going to be pretty awesome, because Anime Central is going to be turning 20, and also Animazement is going to be turning 20. And I should mention that the time frame between ACEN, or Anime Central, and Animazement, or AZ, as they're abbreviated in the social and media outlets like Facebook and Twitter or whatever, they're both turning they're both turning 20. I just mentioned that, and they're within like 4 days of each other. So in May, I would have to take off and take an income hit for like 11 days, because it's not worth going to ACEN in Chicago, fly home, and then work for 2 days, and then fly out to Charlotte or Raleigh, or to my friends in Asheville or whatever. No, it's not worth it. Might as well just make it like a week and a half excursion in May. And I had never been to the South, actually. I'll say this in closing, that I had never been to the South, and it was fascinating and like, what the heck for me, that in May it was as humid as it is like in early June up here in the north, in New England. So that was interesting, that like in the middle of May, it was already pretty heavy and humid. Not horribly, but you can feel it. It was like already summer in late spring, and that was interesting. But anyhow, this has been Shigate for Shigate Vlogs by Shigate, and this has been Post Every Night in September number 4. I believe is the number 4 at this point, because I've been doing a couple. It's my second video recorded today. Yes, number 4 for September 4th, 2016. Post Every Night in September, or PENiS number 4. And if you enjoy this content, I don't know if I said this in the previous video, but I usually do it in the written description, in the doobly-doo description down there. If you enjoy my content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Keep the comments civil and non-offensive, please. I will remove them if I find them to be offensive. And I might even turn off commenting altogether if you guys can't behave yourselves. But anyway, thank you for watching. And for a sneak peek as to what PENiS number 5, Post Every Night September number 5, is going to be, that's going to be Monday, September 5th. And I'm dubbing it Moron Monday. I came up with that finally. I was having a hard time figuring out what to do for Monday. Moron Monday. And that's going to be me talking about, without any revealing details, if I happen to know who they are or whatever, talking about moron customers at my workplace, just ranting and venting about them and all the dumb things that they do. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and have yourselves a great evening, and look forward to Moron Monday. Moron Monday, PENiS number 5, Post Every Night September number 5, because I think I'll have fun ranting about these moron customers. Alright, have a great night.